Whoa. Whoa. It's the illusion reporting from somewhere on spaceship Earth. Owl's at a practice for his Christmas play right now. So I got a little bit of time. I'm sitting here in front of the Kernville Chamber of Commerce. And I was down at the hardware store here just getting stuff to fix this leak in the or clogged drain. Boy, oh boy, what a project this turned out to be. Anyway, you know, so goes life, right? So I thought I would I think I need to try to chime in more on a regular basis about, you know, the new life and life in general, and kind of get back into the flow of things. You know, a couple days ago was the 5-month mark. Been up here 5 months since the day we moved in, and you know, you kind of get a little bit of the ability to take a look at the journey so far. And you know, it ain't easy. It seems easy on paper, right? In theory, it seems easy. And the basic premise is this, you know, it's 2022. We've been through 2.5 years of heavy duty drama in the urban centers. You know, I'm down here in California, right? And, you know, the main objective was to get out of the urban centers, right? So we're no longer in the urban center, right? And so we're at this time where, you know, you have to begin to look at, strategize life a little bit differently, right? So it was basically get a well, you know, secure housing, energy, water, and food, right? The 4 things, the 4 main ingredients to survive, whether it's cataclysmic societal meltdown or it's just the broken system or whatever it is, dude. There's chaos afoot and more chaos coming, and you know, we're 2.5 years into like full-blown chaos out of a system that was already full of chaos, right? So, but you know, we normalize it. We're human beings, so we adapt with our situation, but this isn't normal world we're living in anymore, or is it? I don't know. Or is it just always the way it's been? So anyway, you know, part of the move is like, okay, like, yeah, let's get to a chunk of land where we have a well, where we have shelter, and the energy thing we're working on. We're getting, you know, we're going full blown solar with the batteries and the whole deal, and getting all wired in so that we're not dependent upon the grid on that level. We don't need water from the grid. We have a well. We're figuring out how to grow our food, and I'll say that is I think everybody takes for granted the concept of supermarkets and food and stuff is yeah, start growing your own food and really realize how difficult it is and how much work it involves. But you know, we got chickens and we got some goats. We're starting to get some eggs out of the deal, and you know, it takes a year to figure out the weather, that's for sure. So the solar cycle and the sky clock, that takes a whole thing. So, but in that process, you have the basic human experience, right? So, you know, there's 3 of us, in the sense of the minigram is she's off doing her own thing, and then there's my wife and Owl, and there's the 3 of us, right? And each of us showed up here on the, like, we need to get out of the urban center vibe. We want to go back to the land. We want to raise some animals and food and be free of the chaos of the system. It looks good on paper. It seems real. You just go get a place and you set up shop and you go from there. That's where I went wrong. for me, it was an easy switch. Like, whatever. I was never that attached to the system. I didn't really care about any of their stuff. I'm not involved with the trinkets. Yes, I'm a little bit further from the ocean than I'd like to be, but the ocean's accessible. So that was the compromise we made. Instead of, moving out into Idaho or, regions far away, we were all coastal people. So we were like, let's stay within striking distance of the ocean. So we have that going. But, when we talk about it, it's definitely been difficult for Owl and my wife. And again, is I came here on I got to build the lifeboat vibe. I just got here and immediately started cutting wood and doing things. And from my perspective, the hard part about it is just trying to figure out how to do that. Like, there is constantly, you walk out the door and there's 15 unfinished projects and you got to go pick one of them to finish, and then you end that day and you still have maybe 13 and a half unfinished projects, right? And some of these projects take longer than others, and then all of a sudden you get a clogged drain and you got to battle it and nothing's close by, and it's that kind of a thing, right? So me as a warrior man, I just put my head into it and did it. It was super hot this summer. I think it caught a little of us all by surprise, just how hot, warm it was this summer and how long it stayed hot. We had, we're up in the mountains, but I guess we're still kind of in the high desert. So, there was a solid 6-week run of 100 plus, which was, it's hard to get anything done, but I just powered through it, right? I didn't spend any time thinking about surfing or skating pools or skateboarding or any of that. I was just like, I got to build lifeboat. I have to move into it, because if I didn't, then it's like, what do I, you lose momentum, right? Which is the thing. But for Owl, it's for the children, it's a totally different experience, right? And it was a 3-month process to finally kind of get Owl dialed in now. He's got his friends now, and he, AYSO soccer, and, he had his first game this weekend, and let's go Blazing Dragons. And, it's easier for him, but he's still, there was a whole thing which I wasn't really that prepared for, because, I was, we were coming right out of the coof, so it wasn't like we were involved in some major child scene anyhow. Yeah, he went to his elementary school, but, most of, half his friends had disappeared anyhow with cloth on their face and crazy parents and all of that stuff. So, we had been kind of on our own anyhow. But, that wasn't the case. And so, there was a heavy learning curve on dealing with moving a child into a new environment and just how they feel about it, because they can't just sit down and be like, hey, blah, blah, blah. It comes out sideways, and then you have to help them form the words to express their feelings. And, a lot of their feelings are expressed through actions, which are negative sometimes and over dramatic. And, so, there was that, which, took up a whole huge bandwidth of energy, besides trying to get the whole shop on the whole lifeboat going up here, right? And then there was my wife, man, and she's a West Side girl from Los Angeles, man. Grew up on the West Side, and Palisades, Malibu, that whole zone. So, even though we were super aloof and not that connected to it, there's a certain level of, normalcy that is that I don't know what is, right? And so, I'm a dingbat dude. I don't pick any of this up. And, my wife's acclimatized to it, but she's struggled. There's no, it took her it took her, 4 months to find the secret gal who does the nails, right? And then, it's a total different vibe up here, dude. Like, and so, she's had to like find her way in a different way. For me, I'm not that concerned about what people think or what it's about. Like, I'm just up there building stuff, like, because like I'm getting ready for the tsunami to come, like whether it will or not, who cares? Like, it's just like I'm building lifeboat, right? But my wife doesn't do that. She's not picking up a skill saw or, a post hole digger or she's not doing any of that stuff, dude. What's she doing, right? Well, that's where she's struggled. She's had to like try to find her way and rebalance her career out, and it's funny. It was funny because we weren't able to leave until she finally came in and was like, I'm ready to go, like a year plus ago. She's like, I'm ready to leave Los Angeles. Like, when she was ready to leave and I will tell you that, guys, you ain't going anywhere till the wife and the mother of your children says it's time to go, dude. You can make all the plans you want, dude. Like, I tell you, it's been tricky, and she's a willing participant, dude. I'll tell you that much, dude. Don't think you're just gonna be like, pick a spot on the map and show up, dude, because the bonus of it all is like we're still, it's a lot, man. I would say it's a lot. And so 5 months into it, I would say that where I can only speak for myself in any of these situations, where I fell short was not lowering my guard enough to be like, oh, okay, it's not that easy for you, right? For me, it was so easy to like transition because I'm just like that kind of a dude, if you will. Like I said, I was like, I wasn't that into where we were anyhow. I liked being up on Rainbow Mountain. But when we got here, it's not that I ignored it, it's just I didn't pick up or understand or empathize with how hard it would be for my son and my wife to adjust to a totally different lifestyle. Because it's interesting because we've had done more cool stuff up here and had more of like family unity space here than back there, and yet that's almost harder sometimes, right? Like, there's no distractions up here. Like, there's no, I'm going to go up and escape over to do some errands. Like, the errands are pretty much like, I mean, you can do them, but like, it's a whole thing, right? So, and then you throw in like moving up in the spring. So it's again is when you move up is a logistical thing that you need to consider too. Is we got some of the end of spring, and then summer showed up, and then summer was slammed. It was hot. It was gnarly. It was, it's like a little vacation town up here too. So it was busy and all of that. And then so the weather finally broke like 10 days ago, and it's time to like, you can finally like kind of go and cruise around. Like, up until like 2 weeks ago, you had to like do any sort of activity, outside stuff, before like 9 o'clock in the morning, or like, at 7 o'clock at night. Or do what I did, which was just put my head down and just sweat myself silly. Which again is me neglecting what's around me, like, right? Like, because I had to get into that mindset of like, okay, I'm gonna go battle the conditions. I don't like heat like that. Like, it's like, my thermostat got blown out years ago on that roof in Malibu with the boys when Al was born. But, I couldn't sit and wait for the temperatures or that. I just had to go and like start building, because I was like, build now so when the weather gets nice, you can do all the fun stuff, right? Which is this time of year, which is the fall. And in that process of putting my head down, I kind of didn't hear the difficulty my people were having, right? My son and my wife. And so, we had to cross another bridge here recently where it's like, oh, okay, like what's everybody's struggle, right? Because there's also life too, regardless of where you are, struggles, like just dealing with life, like, our daughter and parents and, grandparents and, work and money and all of that stuff. And also you're trying to transition into a new reality, but you've bet everything on it. So there's no like turning back. Like there's no going back anymore. Like we shoved off. And I think if I could sum it up into kind of like a little thing, that's what it is 5 months into it, I think my wife kind of was like, whoa, we're way out in the middle of the ocean, aren't we? And I go, yeah, we're way out in the middle of the proverbial ocean. And she like panicked a little bit, man. And being a stellar lifeboat mate, she didn't say anything about it for a while, right? And I wasn't empathetic to it either, because I was like rowing away from the shore. And meanwhile, it was funny, like Al finally like kind of like let me have it yesterday. And he just was like, you know what, man, it's been 5 months and you said you were going to do this and you were going to play with me that and this and that. And he's like, what, like, what's going on, dude? And I was like, it stung, dude. Like it kind of stung, because my wife can tell me the same thing, but like, it's my wife, right? Like we're peers, like in that like level, like we're adults together. But when my little 7-year-old boy finally like organized his thoughts and his words, and he was like pacing around the room telling me what was going on, and it was like literally like hearing like I didn't want to hear it. I got mad about it even. Like I didn't like get mad at him about it. I got mad and walked off and took the goats for a walk and whatever. And then I sometime in the night, because that's when I do my thinking, is at night, I was like, oh, whoa, I heard what he said. Why didn't I want to hear what he said? Because it was painful, right? Why don't you want to hear things sometimes? Because it's painful, right? And so I guess my advice is like, yeah, it's not easy. I mean, it's required. Like we have to leave the urban centers. If you're a responsible husband and father, you have to get your family out of these urban centers. The decay, like I just watched the decay from where we left. It's crazy, dude. And yeah, it's still up and running, but you have to do it. But where I can tell you from breaking trail, because no one makes these videos. No one makes these videos of like, hey, dude, you better be like super triple on alert, even when your wife's telling you everything's great. Even though like even when your son's stoked, it's like they got stuff going on inside of them because they're operating on a different emotional and spiritual clock than you are. And that's where I made a huge mistake, because I didn't constantly check the spiritual temperature and spiritual calibration of my fellow lifeboat passengers and be like, how's everyone doing? I sort of just put my head down and was like, all right, I got to get this going up here. I got to get this situation up and running. It's that thing, dude. It's tricky, dude. It is tricky. And, learning how to operate on a chunk of land and wells, and, you're on your own. We're on our own, dude. It's gnarly like that. So anyway, smash that like button, subscribe. If you want to donate to the channel, that would be rad, dude. Get some t-shirts, some artwork, and, come over to the Lego channel. We have sort of intimate, more conversational live streams, dude, where we're all sort of hanging out together and chatting. We all know each other. So Lego channel link down below. If you could watch one of the playlists, get the view time up on that, that would be great. It's The Illusion signing off. Keep on using the name tags.